today we have a special guest on our podcast. If you ever, consumed the content of Mindvalley and, you increased your way of the personal development.
Your level of competency is not directly related to your level of awareness of how competent you actually are.
How you, grow as a human, as an entrepreneur or anything like that. This person is actually the co-founder of Mindvalley. So we have Kristina Mand-Lakhiani today, Mindvalley, and has been in the personal transformation space for over 18 years, which is insane. Like I'm 23 right now, so insane. So she's an international speaker.
If you can acknowledge the little movements, the little steps that you're making, you will find courage to take bigger steps, to take bigger risks, and to challenge yourself.
Entrepreneur, artist, philanthropist, and a mother of two. We're going to talk about so many things out there. So please welcome Kristina.
Thank you for having me.
Hey, Kristina.
It's a pleasure.
Truly appreciate it. Like I'm super excited to have you today.
I'm
Awesome.
excited to yeah. Do we
Awesome,
have a lag?
So, sorry?
Do we have a lag in communication?
No. Everything is all good. So I really wanted to talk about your journey before Mindvalley. Like what was Kristina was before Mindvalley? Like what was the journey in brief, if you talk about a little bit of it?
Yeah, it seems like a different life. I was it's a little funny to say that, but I was born in Soviet Union and I grew up in Soviet Union. I was 14 when Soviet Union collapsed. So I was born in an environment which is probably the exact opposite of where I live right now, because in that country, entrepreneurship was punishable. So you would end up in jail, and people frowned upon personal growth because we had the idea that, well, teach me any academics, but don't teach me how to live. Aren't we humans by nature supposed to know how to love, how to raise children, how to be happy? So I like to say that I ended up in Mindvalley by accident and reluctantly. I had married vision, and my career started in the government. I worked for sometimes for the government, sometimes for NGOs, but that was my passion, to solve the problems of humanity in different ways. And when I married vision, I moved to New York, and I was a little lost for a while. So helping up with Mindvalley seemed like a natural thing to do. And I have to say that even for vision, it was a side thing. He was doing a traditional career, and we did Mindvalley out of passion. So it was never a struggle, in fact. Of course, we've had our complicated situations, but it wasn't ever a struggle because it was something which came naturally, and it was something which we just couldn't not do. And eventually it took over everything, and all the other things fell off.
Yeah, that's amazing, and that's awesome. Like how the journey was transitioned for you, even like accidentally you got into Mindvalley, and like that became I remember, like you said, your baby project, and later down the road it's like insane, like how so many people even like consume the content, or things like that. So many lives have been transformed. Speaking of that, a lot of people out there get confused with the definition of success. According to you, like how you define like the term success initially, like how you define that?
I have to give you a warning. Most people are not going to like it. Well, and I have to give a little disclaimer. I'm one of the big advocates of happiness, and happiness, unfortunately, is incredibly undervalued in contemporary discourse, to the point that we are advised not to pursue happiness, not to actually consider it as a goal. Yet one of the first rules of personal growth is that if you want success in any area, you have to work on that area. You want to have a good body, you have to eat well, exercise well, you have to work on that, right? You want to have loving relationships, you have to work on your relationships. You want to have, I do not know what kind of children, but you have to work on your parenting skills. So somehow happiness seems to be like the exclusion out of the rules. So with that said, with that disclaimer, I like to call things with their proper names. And I think that we should, as a society, stop trying to stretch the idea of success to encompass everything. The bigger the idea, the more umbrella it is, like the less useful it is as a concept. So society traditionally understands success in two aspects. It's either financial success, which is, of course, a very interesting topic, and I would like to drop it as it is. And there's also professional success. For example, if you have any kind of creative career, you might be financially maybe not so successful, but still be successful because you're the best in the world in some craft. So this is how society understands success. And I want to leave it at that. And I know the temptation to say that, yeah, but my success is not going to make me feel any better if I don't feel content or if I'm not healthy. But that's a different area of life. Because we put
Mm.
everything onto success, we have the audacity to say that happiness is not important. It is important, but let's call happiness what it is, happiness. Let's call success what it is. Because we want to encompass everything in the meaning of success, some people say, yeah, I'm successful because I have a lot of friends and a good family and a loving family. And yeah, but that means that you're happy. It doesn't mean that you're successful. These are
Yeah.
two different things. Let's talk about happiness as it is and success as it is, because that will actually be much more productive and constructive and give. And as I said, I'm a huge advocate of happiness, but I don't want to muddle the idea of success or the idea of happiness by merging the two.
That's really interesting out there how you mention it, because a lot of time it actually happened where a lot of people out there start to compare themselves with other people, and then they define like what success is for them. So like talking about that, like why you think so like that comparison factor is like too much. I believe like it happens with every person, every person deals on some sort of like a level out there. Like what do you think is a common denominator, like people actually have that sort of like a mindset around that they feel that inferior level or anything like that in regards to anything.
I think that discussion has much less to do with success, because in that aspect, we can even have different definitions of success in the conventional meaning of that term. For example, sports is Olympic champion a success? Probably it is, right?
Yeah.
But is a national champion a success? Is a school champion a success? In that sense, of course, there are different definitions of success. But here, I think, again, let's call the phenomenon with their proper names. The problem is not in your definition of success. The problem is in your tendency to compare yourself to others and to feel inadequate if
100%.
you don't measure up to their level. So that has more to do with how you view yourself, how you appreciate your own progress. We very often underestimate our own progress. If you write a book and publish it, do you feel yourself like a failure if it doesn't make a New York Times bestsellers list? And I think I interview a lot of people, and what I've noticed that every author of a book is a best-selling author. They don't all qualify that it's number one New York Times bestsellers, or it's not. It's New York Times bestsellers at all, or it's a small category in the Amazon. It's a badge of honor you have to have, and if you don't have that badge of honor, you are failure. That is a different topic altogether. I think we should be a little bit more chill with ourselves, a little bit kinder to ourselves. Just because you shame yourself is not going to make yourself any more successful.
Yeah, you actually hit it that point exactly where it should be like, even I had this exact same thought where like a person should define the success for themselves, like what is their meaning of success is. They cannot go in and like compare with other people out there, and they can go in and define like whatever it is initially. Based on that, you know I would say a lot of people out there have this problem, and I try to like segment between entrepreneur and general people is to acknowledge the problems, things, or the cons they have in themselves, and they go and optimize it. How do you think so? People who don't even have this self awareness about it, how should people go in and acknowledge their flaws and deal with it and go and optimize it? Like, how do you think about it?
You know, I will say again a little bit unexpected thing probably. I don't think we have a problem with criticizing ourselves. There is always an internal
Mm,
critic in your ear saying like you could do better. Oh, you wrote a book,
yeah,
good on you, but you're not New York Times bestsellers. Shame on you. There is always this critic. The question is that sometimes we don't like to listen to that critic. Sometimes
100%.
we sometimes we actually take that critic too seriously. So it is there. It is there. And yes, occasionally there are some people who are different, neurologically different or psychologically different, and they may be, there are delusions, and they, in fact, they say that people that your level of competency is not directly related to your level of awareness of how competent you actually are. There's this phenomenon which I don't remember the name of it, but I know a lot of people know it. It's when the less competent you are, the more competent you think yourself to be. Of course, there is such problem, but I think the problem of contemporary society is not the lack of self-criticism. It's the it's
Mm.
the um, it's the overflow of it. We do not like ourselves. We're so critical on ourselves. We do not like ourselves. So as you said, what is your level of success? For some person who has struggled with the depression, going through a day and actually having a productive day might be a success. For some guy who is
Yeah.
in a good place, who is on the go, for them, a success might be creating a masterpiece, or hitting their genius zone, or winning the Olympics. We are in such different places in our lives. We have to acknowledge the context. We have to acknowledge the context and learn to be kind to ourselves. You are not going to be successful because you shame yourself for your little successes. You're not. But if you can acknowledge the little movements, the little steps that you're making, you will find courage to take bigger steps, to take
Mm.
bigger risks, and to challenge yourself.
Yeah. 100%. 100%. So speaking of flaws, I know like you're coming up with your book, which is like Becoming Flawsome. And I also got to know about that you didn't use any publishers. It was like you doing like everything with the book. So like speak us, a little bit about like, how the journey of writing a book was for you. What was the book all about? And how was the experience without having any sort of publisher, writing your own raw words,
Well,
can you
I'll
tell
have
us
to
a
eat
little bit
my
about that?
I have to eat my dog food now. I started the book with a very strong intention to do it self-published, because my book is, in essence, about being true to yourself, about your way
Yeah.
path back to yourself. And of course, if you go with a publisher, there will be a lot of conditions that will be imposed on you. Also, I'm writing a book in personal growth area, which is nonfiction, which is very highly regimented and highly prescribed. It's supposed to be in a certain way. It's in a way you're expected to write like a didactic material. But I was brought up on classical literature, which is unconventional, which is defying rules, and most of the geniuses of the past that we admire right now, they were the rebels, and I am a rebel by nature. So I started writing a book with an intention not to publish it with anyone, so that nobody tells me that this is how you're supposed to write it. So I can do whatever I
Mm.
like, so that I can be true to myself, because that's what I'm talking about in the book. But then I'm also an ambitious and a vain person. Well, I mean, we all have a bit of vanity, some more, some less. And I want to give my book baby the best start in life I can. I want to give myself a chance to hit New York Times bestsellers list. And for that, you have to go with a publisher. So when my book was written and edited, and I was ready to send it into print, I started looking into how does self-publishing work. And I suddenly decided, it was in April this year, April 2022, I do not know when this interview is coming out. I suddenly decided that I will go with a publisher, because that
Interesting.
that is more important to me. We have choices in our life sometimes, and you always ask yourself, like, which way do I go? So I decided to go to a publisher, because you can't contest for New York Times bestsellers if you don't have a traditional publisher. And that has been quite a fun journey, because I'm still rebellious. I'm still refusing to do certain things. And thank God my publisher, I have a big publisher actually. Thank God my publisher has been very understanding with me, and they support me. And it is a little bit of a struggle, because they want me to be in a certain way, and I want to be in a certain way. And we are trying, it's a
Yeah.
dance. Step here, step there. And that's also the reason why it's the launch is postponed, because it's a process which requires planning and organization and logistics. So I am as patient as I can be.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So like, wait, since it's already postponed, people can at least can go in and be the part of the wait list so that they can go in and notified about when the book is launching. So like, where
So
people can go in and be the part of the wait list.
yes, there is a wait list. It's not going to be a very long wait list because we are going to start pre-sales as soon as my team is ready to kickstart the pre-sales page, which should be soon. So when we do the pre-sales, you can order the book, and I have recorded a program that you can have while you're waiting for the book. So it is a good deal because once the book is launched, the program will go off into the Mindvalley universe, and it will be the
Yeah.
full on Mindvalley program. And for now, you'll get it as a thank you for pre-ordering so much in advance.
100%. 100%. Like I've already registered myself for the waitlist out there. I will post up the link in the description, also in the show notes down below. So people, by the time they are watching, they could be the part of the waitlist, or they could go in and pre-order the book if they haven't, for like getting that amazing bonuses. Because I'm gonna get the book as well. I'm already on the waitlist, so like I'm gonna
Thank you
have
so
those
much
amazing
for that.
bonuses as well.
I
Yeah,
really
like
appreciate
truly,
it. Thank
truly
you.
appreciate it. Truly appreciate it. Well, Christina, thank you so much for being on the show today out there. It was amazing. So many insightful discussion out there. Any last thing that you want to say before we round the session up?
Oh God, that question opens up the door into the abyss. There are so many things I'd like to say, but I think the most important thing is to understand that kindness uh, is a God, I don't know this word in English. English is my third language, so
All
I'll
good.
I'll I'll,
English
I'll
is not even my first language.
take two. So I wish you to learn to be kind to yourself, as kind as possible, because if you understand that kindness is that one thing that opens the door to courage, then you understand that actually it's not being critical of yourself and being hard on yourself that makes you go out and challenge yourself. It's the opposite. If you can trust that no matter what you do, no matter how hard you fail, you don't have to earn your own love. You deserve your love just because you are. That will give you courage to go and challenge yourself truly. So that's probably the thing I want to leave your audience with.
Awesome, awesome. Well, Christina, again, thank you so much for being on the show today, and thank you guys for watching. We're definitely going to see you guys in the next episode. I will post up the link of the book down below, so you can be the part of waitlist or pre-order that as well. So yeah, thank you so much, guys, for watching. I'll definitely going to see you guys in the next one.